So I realized in my last video I didn't actually show what was happening, so I'd like to demonstrate the issue I'm trying to fix. I'll talk about why. So this is the HDMI cable that's powered. You can see the image on the screen. If I just move it, it just like wiggles. It barely is retained in here, and then it loses connection. So yeah, so it's like not flush. If you put it in where it's flush, it doesn't even work. So, for me, I know the problem. I can live with it, but there's two issues with that. I might not have this forever. Probably won't. This is one I got off eBay for parts just to see if I could fix it. So even if I kept it and just dealt with that issue, eventually it'll get worse and it'll stop working, because what's happening is the connectors inside here sit in this little plastic tray, and those have come up, and then they get misaligned, and yeah, it's just not good. So that's a very common issue with these PlayStations. And I found a replacement. So I also ordered this hot air station. So the last video I wasn't able to get the HDMI port out. So I'm gonna try to use hot air. So last time I tried to use a heat gun, but that is a large surface area, so it'll put out a lot of air, and then this puts out a lot of heat in this one little area here. So that'll allow me to control the heat and direct it in one place, not heat up things that shouldn't be heated up. So let's try that. And it also allows for the heat to be spread out versus with the soldering iron, very pinpoint place for the heat. So then when you have a lot of connectors that you're trying to heat up to get it out, this allows you to heat up a lot of things at once and keep it hot, and then hopefully get it to come out. So let's give this a try. Okay, so we got the PlayStation 3 disassembled, and this is the part we want to try to remove, the HDMI port. I'm going to use the hot air station to try to heat this up and pull it off. So I'll try to put some downward pressure with the screwdriver and heat up the solder, and hopefully that'll come out. So I can see it change on the solder only when I hold the gun there for a very long period of time. So what I might do is try one of the larger tips so it'll heat up everything. Okay, so I put this tip on, much wider. I'm hoping that will direct the heat to all the pins. I also found that there's a higher airflow setting, so I cranked it up as well, and we're back at 896. There, I think it just fell out. Nice. So then once I got that right, that was pretty easy. Got the HDMI port out. There's quite a bit of stuff to clean up. I'll try to get the solder out if I can. If not, maybe I can heat it up and push the new one through. I feel like that'll be difficult though, so once I got it running though, that was much easier. Okay. So the parts that aren't really clearing are the standoffs. So that's where the structure is. Um, that connects to ground, and that's absorbing a ton of heat. Okay, so here's my thought process. Here's the new port. As you can see, the legs on the outside are just a tad longer than the pins on the inside. So if I can get these pins on the outside to go into the board, then I can heat up the pins on the inside and they'll sit flush. So it's going to key into these holes, and what I'm hoping to do is take the sharp end of the soldering iron and push it into the holes and open them up so I can get the new HDMI port to sit into the motherboard. Okay, I have the iron set to 896 degrees, which is as high as it'll go. I'm just going to try and push the tip through. Okay, it's not really doing anything. There might have been some damage. Maybe a little melted compared to the one next to it. Whew. It's pretty warm. Yeah, it says it's up to temperature, but I feel like it's going to need a little bit more time to get up to temperature, so I'm going to pause it here and come back when it's heated up. Okay, so here I'm applying constant pressure towards me and trying to heat up that solder pad to get the legs to come through. It's a little challenging in that I think if it's not coming through on some of them, it's hard to get movement in one of the directions. So I'm going to go around and heat up each of the pads while applying pressure. Hope that it starts seating into the port. So I'm going to do that. I can feel. So at this point, I've added extra solder to try to get it to flow a little bit easier. And I'm just going around again and trying to get the outside legs to flow in. It takes quite a bit of heat, and I have to kind of move the tip around a little bit to get it to transfer the heat correctly. So you see me doing it right there. And then I keep checking on the other side to see if the legs are in far enough that the pins are making contact. If they start making contact, then I have to heat up all of the solder pads, which I'll probably switch to hot air for. So here I'm just absorbing the extra solder so that when I come in with the heat gun, it's not trying to heat up all this extra solder that I added. So now I've propped up the port on the container that I use for flux. This way I can push down on the board and it will actually I'm going to put it up on this seat properly. So it went in, and at first I thought there was a pin missing, but I can see it now. It just was not the same amount of solder. So now I'm trying to add a little bit more solder to the pins. As you can see, I'm not the best at soldering, still learning. I end up bridging a couple of these pins by mistake, and I spend quite a bit of time trying to see if I thought maybe the bridge was intentional, maybe it was like a shared ground, but in the end it wasn't. They should all be separate. So I'll save you all that wasted time. Yeah, there's definitely a connection between those. So the issue is between these two pins right here. It's causing a bridge. So let me just try to heat it up. There's two pins there on the bottom right, are bridged together. Take care of that.
Okay, so I was able to take care of that bridge. I took this sharp
pointer thing and just
pointy
scrape between it.
tool I have and just scraped between them slightly.
And broke
Probably
it free.
not the best
And then I tested
solution,
it,
but it ended up working.
On any of these.
So now when I test
Only
continuity,
between these
none of the
posts,
pins
which are expected because
are connected.
going to the ground. So
now I'm gonna just put it together just
so
enough
test it.
to test out the port without having to
right
disassemble it if it doesn't work.
Okay, so I got this barely hooked up, just power there, that to the board. Got the HDMI plugged into the power. I can see there's a light there. Let's see what happens.
So I just pressed power here and no sign of life. And when I try to shut it off by holding down power, nothing happens. So that tells me like nothing really booted up. So I decide probably needs more components. Like I'm guessing maybe if it doesn't detect the fan, it's not going to boot up. So I'm going to add more components and see if it'll boot up.
So the only thing that was different is this fan's connected now. Those are connected. So hopefully it just was being safe and not turning on. So there's the fan.
Okay, at this point there's no sign of life. It's acting about the same. I'm wondering if it's something to do with the HDMI port. Maybe it's not totally in there correctly, so I'm going to switch to the analog port and see if we see any video, so I can at least know that the PlayStation is good.
Okay. I just had success. I was troubleshooting. I didn't have the hard drive in before, and that apparently did something. I'd hooked up the analog port. Nothing was happening there. I did a diagnostics mode by holding down the power. I eventually got something on the screen. So I'll show you it working. I'm very relieved. There it is. Whew. I was severely doubting myself because if it didn't work at all after, that would have been very disappointing because at least it was working. So let me try it out. So now there's not really any play in that. It's in there nice and firm. Whew. So there it is. It was pretty stressful, very difficult. I wasn't very patient, so I was worried on multiple occasions that I broke it. So far, though, it looks like we're good. Make sure the controller still works. Yeah, controller still works. Nice. So I guess that'll do it. I'll put this back together and test it some more. But it looks great and no issue with the picture. Everything seems to be working. So that is it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.